Robin Hood is an outlaw bold under the greenwood tree. Bird nor stag nor morning air is more at large than he. They sent against him 20 men, who joined him laughing-eyed. They sent against him 30 more, and they remained beside. All the stoutest of the train that grew in Gamelyn wood, whether they came with these or not, are now with Robin Hood. And not a soul in Locksley town would speak him ill a word. The friars raged, but no man stirred, nor even features stirred, except among a very few who dined in the abbey halls. And then, with a sigh, bold Robin knew his true friends from his false. There was Roger the monk, that used to make all monkery his glee, and Midge, on whom Robin had never turned his face but tenderly. With one or two, they say besides, Lord, that in this life's dream men should abandon one true thing that would abide with them. We cannot bid our strength remain, our cheeks continue round. We cannot say to an aged back, stoop not towards the ground. We cannot bid our dim eyes see things as bright as ever, nor tell our friends, though friends from youth, that they'll forsake us never. But we can say, I never will friendship fall off from thee. And oh, sound truth and old regard, nothing shall part us three. Hello and welcome to this Oak Tree English poetry reading. Today I'm doing something slightly different. I'm taking, usually I match pictures to poems. Today I'm matching poems to pictures. And I'm doing this in conjunction with my friend Matthew Ryan, who is a historical illustrator and an artist of considerable talent. He's very kindly allowed me to use some of his paintings to illustrate some poems. So, I've just read Robin Hood, an Outlaw by James Henry Leigh Hunt, who is also the author of Abu Ben Adam, which you may be more familiar with. And the picture I used for that was Feckin Forest Poacher and a portrait of an archer, which is actually a self-portrait of himself, which he did for Susanna M. Newsted's 5th book in her Savernake novels, which is a medieval murder mystery series. So it's like a self-portrait set in the early 13th century. Now, from this we turn to Agincourt, and who better to illustrate Agincourt than Henry V himself, from the play Henry V by William Shakespeare, the St. Crispin's Day speech. If we are marked to die, we are enow to do our country loss. And if to live, the fewer men, the greater share of honour. God's will, I pray thee, wish not one man more. By Jove, I am not covetous for gold, nor care I who doth feed upon my cost. It yearns me not if men my garments wear. Such outward things dwell not in my desires. But if it be a sin to covet honour, I am the most offending soul alive. No, faith, my coz, wish not a man from England. God's peace, I would not lose so great an honour as one man more, methinks would share from me for the best hope I have. Oh, do not wish one more. Rather proclaim it, Westmoreland, through my host, that he hath no stomach to this fight. Let him depart. His passport shall be made, and crowns for convoy put in his purse. We would not die in that man's company, that fears his fellowship to die with us. This day is called the Feast of Crispian. He that outlives this day and comes safe home will stand a tiptoe when the day is named, and rouse him at the name of Crispian. He that shall live this day and see old age will yearly on the vigil feast his neighbours, and say, tomorrow is St. Crispian. Then will he strip his sleeve and show his scars, and say, these wounds I had on Crispin's day. Old men forget, yet all shall be forgot, for he'll remember with advantages what feasts he did that day, that shall our names familiar in his mouth as household words. Harry the King, Bedford and Exeter, Warwick and Talbot, Salisbury and Gloucester, be in their flowing cups freshly remembered. This story shall the good man teach his son, and Crispian shall ne'er go by, from this day to the ending of the world, but we in it shall be remembered. We few, we happy few, we band of brothers, for he today that sheds his blood with me shall be my brother. Be he ne'er so vile, this day shall get gentle his condition. And gentlemen in England, now abed, shall think themselves accursed that they were not here, and hold their manhoods cheap, whiles any speak that fought with us upon St. Crispin's day. Of course, Agincourt was a great battle, a great victory for the English, and a great defeat for the French. They vastly outnumbered us, but we won by dint of good fletchery, good arrowship. I'm not sure what the right term there would be. The historical sources say that the sky was turned black with English arrows. All thanks to the longbow, something which again Matt Ryan is proficient with. Now, the pictures that I've been allowed to use for this one include the road to Agincourt, which is Henry V leading at the head of his army across France in 1415, a path that will eventually take them to the infamous Battle of Agincourt. Accompanying him is Sir John Cornwall, and this artwork was actually created as part of the Agincourt 600-year anniversary commemoration and used at the Tower of London exhibition. Also, Agincourt Battle, painted in a contemporary manuscript style for that same anniversary exhibition. And the last one is an Agincourt T-shirt. You can buy T-shirts from his website, and please go ahead and do so because they look pretty cool. Okay. Well, after Agincourt, we come to Joan of Arc. Here I have a poem by Henry van Dyke, who I understand is no relation to Dick, but probably did a better English accent. And this is called Jeanne d'Arc. The land was broken in despair. The princes quarrelled in the dark. When clear and tranquil, through the troubled air of selfish minds and wills that did not care, your star arose, Jeanne d'Arc. O virgin breast with lily white, O sunburnt hand that bore the lance, you taught the prayer that helps men to unite. You brought the courage equal to the fight. You gave a heart to France. Your king was crowned, your country free. At Rheims you had your soul's desire. And then at Rouen, maid of Domremy, the black-robed judges gave your victory the martyr's crown of fire. And now again the times are ill, and doubtful leaders miss the mark. The people lack the single faith and will to make them one. Your country needs you still. Come back again, Jeanne d'Arc. O woman star, arise once more and shine to bid your land advance. The old heroic trust in God restore. Renew the brave, unselfish hopes of yore, and give a heart to France. And the picture there is of Joan of Arc standing in front of flaming woods, which of course foretold her fate. Now, those of you who know me know that I'm not going to pass up the opportunity of reading a Rudyard Kipling poem, and therefore, with the help of the Battle of Northampton, I'm going to read Cold Iron. Gold is for the mistress, silver for the maid, Copper for the craftsman, cunning at his trade. Good, said the Baron, sitting in his hall, but iron, cold iron, is master of them all. So he made rebellion against the king his liege, camped before his citadel and summoned it to siege. Nay, said the cannoneer on the castle wall, but iron, cold iron, shall be master of you all. Woe for the Baron and his knights so strong, when the cruel cannon balls laid 'em all along. He was taken prisoner, he was cast in thrall, and iron, cold iron, was master of it all. Yet his king spake kindly, ah, how kind a lord! What if I release thee now, and give thee back thy sword? Nay, said the Baron, mock not at my fall, for iron, cold iron, is master of men all. Tears are for the craven, prayers are for the clown, halters for the silly neck that cannot keep a crown. As my loss is grievous, so my hope is small, for iron, cold iron, must be master of men all. Yet his king made answer, few such kings there be. Here is bread and here is wine, sit up and sup with me. Eat and drink in Mary's name, the whiles I do recall how iron, cold iron, can be master of men all. He took the wine and blessed it, he blessed and brake the bread. With his own hands he served them, and presently he said, See, these hands they pierced with nails outside my city wall, show iron, cold iron, to be master of men all. Wounds are for the desperate, blows are for the strong, balm and oil for weary hearts all cut and bruised with wrong. I forgive thy treason, I redeem thy fall, for iron, cold iron, must be master of men all. Crowns are for the valiant, sceptres for the bold, thrones and powers for mighty men who dare to take and hold. Nay, said the Baron, kneeling in his hall, but iron, cold iron, is master of men all. Iron out of Calvary is master of men all. The picture I used for this one was Yorkist guns, which is of the Battle of Northampton in 1460. It's of Yorkist field artillery set up near the base of the slope, coming down from the Queen Eleanor Cross, facing the south side of the Lancastrian defensive fortifications. The gunners are depicted as retainers to the 18-year-old Edward, Earl of March. Now, since we're talking about Kipling, Kipling is often criticised for with the charge of racism, and one of those charges of racism is a quote that he uses from the Bible. But if you listen to the very next line, it refutes that claim. So, as does the psalm it's taken from. So, here is the Ballad of East and West. O east is east and west is west, and never the twain shall meet, till earth and sky stand presently at God's great judgment seat. But there is neither east nor west, border nor breed nor birth, when two strong men stand face to face, though they come from the ends of the earth. Kamal is out with 20 men to raise the border side, and he has lifted the colonel's mare, that is the colonel's pride. He has lifted her out of the stable door between the dawn and day, and turned the calkins upon her feet, and ridden her far away. Then up and spoke the colonel's son that led a troop of the guides. Is there never a man of all my men can say where Kamal hides? Then up and spoke Mohammed Khan, the son of the Resaldar. If you know the track of the morning mist, you know where his pickets are. At dusk he harries the Abizai, at dawn he's into Bonaire, but he must go by Fort Bucklow to his own place to fare. So if you gallop to Fort Bucklow as fast as a bird can fly, by the favour of God you may cut him off ere he win to the tongue of Jagai. But if he be past the tongue of Jagai, Right swiftly turn ye then, for the length and the breadth of that grisly plain is sown with Camal's men. There's rock to the left and rock to the right, and low lean thorn between, and ye may hear breech-bolts snick where never a man is seen. The colonel's son has taken horse, and a rough dun was he, with the mouth of a bell and the heart of hell and the head of a gallows tree. The colonel's son to the fort has won, they bid him stay to eat. Who rides at the tail of a border thief, he sits not long at his meat. He's up and away from Fort Bucklow as fast as he can fly, till he was aware of his father's mare in the gut of the tongue of Jagai. Till he was aware of the father's mare with Camal upon her back, and when he could spy the white of her eye, he made the pistol crack. He had fired once, he had fired twice, but the whistling ball went wide. "Ye shoot like a soldier," Camal said. "Show now if ye can ride." It's up and over the tongue of Jagai as blown dust devils go. The dun he fled like a stag of 10, but the mare like a barren doe. The dun he leant against the bit and slugged his head above, but the red mare played with the snaffle bars as a maiden plays with a glove. There was rock to the left and rock to the right, and low lean thorn between, and thrice he heard a breech-bolt snick, though never a man was seen. They have ridden the low moon out of the sky, their hoofs drum up to the dawn. The dun he went like a wounded bull, but the mare like a new roused fawn. The dun he fell at a watercourse, in a woeful heap fell he, and Camal has turned the red mare back and pulled the rider free. He has knocked the pistol out of his hand, small room was there to strive. "'Twas only by favour of mine," quoth he, "ye rode so long alive. There was not a rock for 20 mile, there was not a clump of tree, but covered a man of my own men with his rifle cocked on his knee. If I had raised my bridle hand, as I have it held out low, the little jackals that flee so fast were feasting all in a row. If I had bowed my head on my breast, as I have held it high, the kite that whistles above us now were gorged till she could not fly." Lightly answered the colonel's son, "Do good to bird and beast, but count who come for the broken meats before thou makest thy feast. If there should follow 1,000 swords to carry my bones away, belike the price of a jackal's meal were more than a thief could pay. They will feed their horse on the standing crop, their men on the garnered grain. The thatch of the briars will serve their fires when all the cattle are slain. But if thou thinkest the price be fair, thy brethren wait to sup. The hound is kin to the jackal spawn. Howl, dog, and call them up. And if thou thinkest the price be high in steer and gear and stack, give me my father's mare again, and I'll fight my own way back." Camal has gripped him by the hand and set him upon his feet. "No talk of dogs," said he, "when wolf and grey wolf meet. May I eat dirt if thou hast hurt of me in deed or breath. What dam of lances brought thee forth to jest at the dawn with death?" Lightly answered the colonel's son, "I hold by the blood of my clan. Take up the mare for my father's gift. By God, she has carried a man." The red mare ran to the colonel's son and nuzzled against his breast. "We be 2 strong men," said Camal then, "but she loved the younger best. So she shall go with a lifter's dower, my turquoise-studded rein, my broidered saddle and saddle-cloth, and silver stirrup twain." The colonel's son a pistol drew, and held it muzzle end. "Ye have taken the one from a foe," said he. "Will ye take the mate from a friend?" "A gift for a gift," said Camal straight, "a limb for the risk of a limb. Thy father has sent his son to me, I'll send my son to him." And with that he whistled his only son, that dropped from a mountain crest. He trod the yearling like a buck in spring, and he looked like a lance in rest. "Now here is thy master," Camal said, "who leads a troop of the guides, and thou must ride at his left side as shield on shoulder rides, till death or I cut loose the tie at camp or board and bed. Thy life is his, thy fate it is to guard him with thy head. And so thou must eat the White Queen's meat, and all her foes are thine, and thou must harry thy father's hold for the peace of the border line. And thou must make a trooper tough, and hack thy way to power. Belike they will raise thee to wrestle Dar, when I am hanged in Peshawar. They have looked each other between the eyes, and there they found no fault. They have taken the oath of the brother in blood, on leavened bread and salt. They have taken the oath of the brother in blood, on fire and fresh-cut sod, on the hilt and the haft of the Khyber knife, and the wondrous names of God. The colonel's son, he rides the mare, and Kamal's boy the dun, and two have come back to Fort Bucklow, where there went forth but one. And when they drew to the quarter guard, full 20 swords flew clear. There was not a man but carried his feud with the blood of the mountaineer. "Ha done! Ha done!" said the colonel's son. "Put up the steel and at your sides. Last night ye struck at a border thief. Tonight 'tis a man of the guides." O east is east, and west is west, and never the twain shall meet, till earth and sky stand presently at God's great judgment seat. But there is neither east nor west, border nor breed nor birth, when two strong men stand face to face, though they come from the ends of the earth. The picture you've been enjoying is of the Battle of Antioch, which was in 1211 as part of the Fourth Crusade. Towards the end of that battle, the Turkish army set light to the grass as either a signal to their camp, or to start a retreat, or as a means of trying to separate themselves from the Frankish Crusaders. Either way, it didn't work, and the Franks, mounted on a combination of their own starving horses or mounts left by falling Turks, and chased down the fleeing enemy, and a rout soon ensued. But the poem is about two strong men finding respect for each other, even though their worldviews, their lives were completely different. And yeah, it's kind of nice. This is a picture of east being east and west being west, and what happens when the twain meet. Okay, now I'm going to read St. Georgian Dragon. Now, the source of this poem, I'm only reading half of it, but the source of this poem is Thomas Percy's Reliques of Ancient English Poetry, which was published in 1765, and it's thought that his source was Richard Johnson, The Seven Champions of Christendom, from 1597. I have no other knowledge of this poem than that. Of Hector's deeds did Homer sing, and of the sack of stately Troy, what griefs fair Helena did bring, which was Sir Paris' only joy. And by my pen I will recite St. George's deeds, an English knight. Against the Saracens so rude fought he full long and many a day, where many giants he subdued in honour of the Christian way. And after many adventures past, to Egypt land he came at last. Now, as the story plain doth tell, within that country there did rest a dreadful dragon, fierce and fell, whereby they were full sore oppressed, who by his poisonous breath each day did many of the city slay. The grief whereof did grow so great throughout the limits of the land, that they their wise men did entreat to show the cunning out of hand, what way they might this fiend destroy, that did the country thus annoy. The wise men all before the king this answer framed incontinent. The dragon none to death might bring, by any means they could invent. His skin more hard than brass was found, that sword nor spear could pierce nor wound. When this the people understood, they cried out most piteously. The dragon's breath infects their blood, that every day in heaps they die. Among them such a plague it bred, the living scarce could bury the dead. No means there were, as they could hear, for to appease the dragon's rage, but to present some virgin clear, whose blood his fury might assuage. Each day he would a maiden eat, for to allay his hunger great. This thing by art the wise men found, which truly most observed be, wherefore throughout the city round a virgin pure of good degree was by the king's commission still taken up to serve the dragon's will. Thus did the dragon every day untimely crop some virgin flower, till all the maids were worn away, and none were left him to devour, saving the king's fair daughter bright, her father's only heart's delight. Then came the officers to the king, that heavy message to declare, which did his heart with sorrow sting. "She is," quoth he, "my kingdom's heir. Oh, let us all be poisoned here, ere she should die that is my dear." Then rose the people presently, and to the king in rage they went. They said his daughter dear should die, the dragon's fury to prevent. "Our daughters all are dead," quoth they, "and have been made the dragon's prey. And by their blood we rescued were, and thou hast saved thy life thereby. And now in sooth it is but fair, for us, thy daughter, so should die." "Oh, save my daughter," said the king, "and let me feel the dragon's sting." Then fell fair Sabra on her knee, and to her father dear did say, "O father, strive not thus for me, but let me be the dragon's prey. It may be for my sake alone this plague upon the land was thrown. 'Tis better I should die," she said, "than all your subjects perish quite. Perhaps the dragon here was laid for my offence to work his spite, and after he hath sucked my gore, your land shall feel the grief no more." "What hast thou done, my daughter dear, for to deserve this heavy scourge? It is my fault, as may appear, which makes the gods our state to purge. Then ought I die, to stint the strife, and to preserve thy happy life." Like madmen all the people cried, "Thy death to us can do no good. Our safety only doth abide in making her the dragon's food." "Lo, here I am, I come," quoth she, "therefore do what you will with me." "Nay, stay, dear daughter," quoth the queen, "and as thou art a virgin bright, thou hast for virtue famous been, so let me clothe thee all in white, and crown thy head with flowers sweet, an ornament for virgins meet." And when she was attired so, according to her mother's mind, unto the stake then did she go, to which her tender limbs they bind. And being bound to stake a thrall, she bade farewell unto them all. "Farewell, my father dear," quoth she, "and my sweet mother meek and mild. Take you no thought nor weep for me, for you may have another child. Since for my country's good I die, death I receive most willingly." The king and queen and all their train with weeping eyes went then their way, and let their daughter there remain to be the hungry dragon's prey. But as she did there weeping lie, behold, St. George came riding by, and seeing there a lady bright so rudely tied unto a stake, as well became a valiant knight, he straight to her his way did take. "Tell me, sweet maiden," then quoth he, "what caitiff thus abuseth thee? And lo, by Christ his cross I vow, which here is figured on my breast, I will revenge it on his brow, and break my lance upon his chest." And speaking thus, whereas he stood, the dragon issued from the wood. The lady that did first espy the dreadful dragon coming so, unto St. George aloud did cry, and willed him away to go. "Here comes that cursed fiend," quoth she, "that soon will make an end of me." St. George then, looking round about, the fiery dragon soon espied, and, like a knight of courage stout, against him did most fiercely ride. And with such blows he did greet, he fell beneath his horse's feet. For with his lance that was so strong, as he came gaping in his face, in at his mouth he thrust along, for he could pierce no other's place. And thus within the lady's view, this mighty dragon straight he slew. The savour of his poisoned breath could do this holy knight no harm. Thus he the lady saved from death, and home he led her by the arm. Which when King Ptolemy did see, there was great mirth and melody. That's where I'm going to stop reading, but the rest of the poem I encourage you to look up for yourself. It's quite entertaining, and St. George is totally and utterly betrayed by the court, but that's another story for another time. The picture here has been St. George and the Dragon. The halo around St. George is actually gold leaf, which I happened to see going on myself. It's quite remarkable piece of work, in my opinion. And here I end. I hope you've enjoyed the poems that I've set to these pictures. I hope you've enjoyed the pictures. If you are interested, then I encourage you to go to Matt's website, Matthew Ryan Historical Illustrator. Google it and you will find it. And I encourage you to avail yourself of the joys of his historical paintings. Thank you very much for joining me, and stay safe, everyone.